Welcome to GoVMlab, India's first job-ready VMware learning platform where professionals meet experts to revolutionize their VMware careers.
So now let's move on to the next topic of our discussion, where we are going to walk you through with the NSX routing packet walk for single tier topology. So we will be referring the packet walk for two different topology. One is single tier topology. What is the whole ideation of single tier topology? Where we do not have a tier one gateway. Your segments, so it's something like this. When you go and talk about single tier topology, what is the topology is you just have a one tier zero gateway and your segments, web tier, app tier, for example, or DB tier directly connected to tier 0 gateway. And this tier 0 gateway is having a uplink connectivity to your Cisco router or external router, where my external network is there and my user desktop is right here. This is what we call single tier topology, right? Only tier 0 router. Then we will have a packet walk for two tier topology or multi-tier topology where we have a tier 1 router. So this tier 0 will be connected to tier 1 and we will walk you through with the both of this packet walk. And packet walk is pretty easy, pretty straightforward because we had a pretty intense discussion on the conceptual understanding how this architecture works, right? So now let's combine all this learning together and let's try to understand the packet walk, right? So if you really see, before we go and talk about the packet walk, let's try to understand this diagram. What do we have it here? So obviously we know one thing is that this is my hypervisor, which is my transport node, and this is my edge node, which is again my transport node, right? And these transport node are connected or reachable to each other over this overlay transport network, right? And that is where we have a tap-to-tap connectivity. That is where we have a tap-to-tap connectivity, right? Where this ESXi transport node can communicate to the edge transport node via this tap connectivity. And that is where, if you remember in the edge node, we talk about overlay transport zone, because that overlay transport zone is actually going to help us to send this packet from ESXi transport node to edge transport node when the packet has to go out, right? One thing we are very clear that as when the packet has to go out of the NSX subsystem, it has to go via edge node. So obviously if my VM, this is my VM, if you look at that, this VM is running on ESXi hypervisor. So somewhere I need to have a reachability where packet coming from VM should go and reach to my edge node. Then only it can go out, right? This is where we are talking about this connectivity. So this is my ESXi node, this is my edge node, and both have a tap connectivity. And this is what we call overlay transport network, right? Then what do we have it here? This is my virtual machine. As you could see that this is my virtual machine. This virtual machine have this IP and this virtual machine is connected to one of the segment. This segment, we are calling it as a segment 1, having a VNI ID 65549. So whenever you create a segment will have some VNI ID. This is what we are talking about it here. Then what do we have it here is, you know that in your edge node, whenever you do the uplink connectivity, there would be SR instance, because SR instance is the one which is responsible for uplink connectivity. And right there we have a SR instance running on edge node, where DR instance is always and always running in all the transport nodes. So you do see that DR instance is running in ESXi node, DR instance is running in edge transport node because it's a distributed router. But SR instance is only running in the edge node. There is no SR instance running in the ESXi transport node. As simple as that. And this SR instance is the one which actually, if you remember, we did the connectivity. We created a tier 0 gateway interface and we mapped this interface to the one of the VLAN segment, which was uplink segment. So what is that tier 0 gateway interface? SR interface, right? So this interface SR has a connectivity to the uplink segment, where this uplink segment is connectivity to the external router. And this external router is having this external network where my user desktop is there. This part is also clear, right? This is what we exactly did, where we created a tier 0 gateway interface. And this is the interface coming on my SR. And from that interface, we had this VLAN segment connectivity to the upstream router. And then the packet used to come that way, right? That part is also clear to us, right? Now, one thing you always do in the NSX routing, like whenever we talk about DR get instantiated in every transport node, right? It's by design, and that is where we do see that this DR is instantiated in every transport node. And you know that whenever you connect tier 0 and you connect a segment here, right? This is my web segment. I connect to the tier 0. So it actually gets connected with a DR interface, right? Because SR interface is a uplink interface. Downlink interface is where my web tiers segments are connected. So which is my DR interface. That is the exact reason, if you look at that, both of the DR can reach out to this segment, VM segment, right here. Right? Both of the DR can reach out to this VM segment because these are the downlink interfaces where the segment is connected. And because DR is getting instantiated in every transport node, we do see that this VM segment is actually have a reachability to both of this DR. And you also know one more link, SR between there is a connectivity between SR and DR, right? And that is where we have an internal transit subnet. Internal transit subnet is something, the system defined subnet, right? So this is another subnet which NSX subsystem create for us to establish a connectivity between SR and DR. SR and DR. So SR and DR is again a transit connectivity. What do we have it here to establish connectivity between SR and DR, right? So you know that this SR and DR resides in a same node itself, but this SR and this DR in a different transport node. That is where we have this transit subnet, where this DR of ESXi can communicate to the SR of edge node via this transit subnet, right? I think this part is clear. Everyone understand this topology, right? As simple as that. Because it's again a reachability, connectivity with each of the other components. If the connectivity is not there, then how my packet flow will happen? So if you really see, right, this is my ESXi node. ESXi node is talking to edge node over this step network, right? This SR instance of my edge node having a one interface, uplink interface, which actually connect to external router, and then they have a downlink interface, which downlink interface is actually connected to the DR instance because the SR DR connectivity. And then because DR is a distributed router, so each of the DR router will have a connectivity to this segment, the VM segment. And in our case, what is happening? My VM is running on ESXi 1, where my edge node is running somewhere else, right? Now let's understand the packet flow, if that diagram is clear, right? Thank you for watching this video. If you want to continue watch this lecture, then join our exclusive YouTube membership program only at the price of 299 rupees INR per month and unlock your VMware potential with GoVMlab. With this membership program, you can unlock all of our members only content published on our YouTube channel. You can watch out the videos presented on your screen to know the benefits of GoVMlab subscription as well as the membership program. Thank you.